Am I the a-hole for having my husband fired? Can't believe I'm posting here, but here I go. I, 29 female, have an ex, 34 male, Richard. It's been 3 years since we separated due to him being abusive and cheating. But we are not divorced as divorce is expensive in my country. And whenever I apply for divorce, Richard insists on meditation. So divorce is never granted as one of us tries to save the marriage. He lives with his mistress and they have a kid together that was conceived when we were still together. Due to both of them harassing and mistreating me, I have a restraining order against both of them. My employer is aware of all of this, as the utility company my ex works for supplies the buildings their offices are at, one of the major suppliers in the country. Now to the actual events. Due to restrictions, everyone is currently working from home with a few days in the office. Richard decided to show up at my work with his kid and demanded to see me for child support money since we are still legally married. As my employer is aware of the situation, the reception refused to tell him if I'm in the office or not. I was, and asked Richard to leave. Richard did not, and security was called. As he was with his child, security couldn't use force to remove Richard, so reception threatened to call the utility company he works for. Richard didn't believe the reception can do it. So long story short, him and his mistress were fired with immediate effect as Richard showing up at my work has been seen as gross misconduct, and they discovered Richard was his mistress's boss. Apparently his employer didn't know they were together, and it's strictly forbidden to have a relationship with someone who is directly employed by you. The utility company apologized for Richard's actions and gave a considerable discount for their services to make sure the news of what happened wouldn't spread. Since they were fired, I'm getting calls from unknown numbers of various Richards / his mistress's family members and friends, saying I'm responsible for it and just a jealous a-hole for getting them fired to get Richard back. We still have some friends in common, and they believe getting him fired and losing the only source of income they have is too harsh, and I should have prevented that / shouldn't have spoken in the beginning about what happened. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Just not to repeat myself in the comments. His family believes it's okay to have several partners and be responsible for kids even they are from an affair. And according to our mutual friends, he spreads a lie that I couldn't get pregnant. I don't want and never wanted kids. So his mistress helped us with that. But then I overreacted and called it cheating. So he had to stay with her to support the kid. It's the same as what he pulled in the court when we were getting divorced alongside with his "I still love her and should have communicated better" lies. So the court wouldn't grant a divorce, as they believe he is trying to save the marriage and I'm being unreasonable. Now for the top comments before the little update. Oh dear, this better be a joke. He asked you for child support for his adultery kid? WTF? Not stay home. Him and his family believes if the child was conceived in the marriage, the other party should accept them even if it's from adultery. They also had a go at me for separating with him due to cheating, because in their eyes, it's okay to be with several people. I'm so sorry, but why in the holy name did you marry this creature? What species is it? I guess the reason was the same how everyone else got into a toxic relationship. He wasn't like that, was loving and caring. I didn't know his family's views and other issues they have until after separating from him. Before that, they seemed fairly normal. A guy you have restraining order against showed up at your job, made a scene and got fired. You're obviously not stay hall here. This is absolutely the consequence of his own actions. It doesn't seem like Opie called anyone herself, and even if she did, I'd still vote not stay home. I feel awful for her. She must have been put through a lot in that relationship for thinking even for a second this is her fault. And unfortunately, it's not over for her yet. I hope she's able to completely get away from this guy. Not stay home. It doesn't even sound like you actually had a role in any of this. Like it all went down with you unaware even. I was informed he was in the office building by my manager as he had a meeting not too far from the reception. He knew about the situation, as he gave me a lot of time off to recover from the breakup a few years back and made sure I'm okay. He knows my reaction on Richard and that his presence generally makes me feel terrified. I assume Richard possibly heard some of the staff members saying I'm in the office as they were passing by, since it seems rather strange that he knew when to show up. Edit 2. Thank you for the support. I'm getting a bit overwhelmed trying to reply to everyone, but just want to point out a few things. His family's beliefs are not normal for the country, but I'm pretty sure they'd change if the situation would be the other way around. My boss is also incredibly frustrated with the situation, so he gave me contacts of his friend who happens to be a family lawyer, who agreed to help me out at a discounted rate as he owes my boss a few favors. He sees why courts take that long and will try his best to make sure divorce is granted. He also works as no win, no fee, and believes we can win the case and get Richard to cover the outstanding fees. And most importantly, no, I have not been paying child support to him and was not instructed to. The bit of claiming the child is mine as his mistress is his surrogate can be a bit complicated, but Mr. Lawyer, who I now owe a beer to, said courts can't make me pay or accept it since there is no evidence of any agreement. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for making a scene in public? My boyfriend and I were vacuuming the car in the gas station. He asked to see his phone, and when I handed it to him a few seconds later, he puts the vacuum literally on my face. Literally right next to my lips. Not even a full inch away from my lips. I freak out and try to smack his phone out of his hand and scream WTF. He tells me it's a joke, and how I'm overreacting and yelling in public. I won't lie, I've been feeling sick for the past couple days, so I've been semi-emotional. So I started crying because all I can think about is that nasty thing that never gets washed. It has been vacuuming up BS literally being on my face. My boyfriend has stated I've created an issue, and how he would never act like that. How it was a joke and how he will only be serious with me from now on. How he was just trying to make a funny TikTok. How he can't joke with me. I feel like an A now. Did I overreact? Am I the a-hole? Edit. I got my booster a couple days ago and have been having a rough time. Like laying on a cold tile floor to snap out of my dizzy/nausea and fever. I've been having bad headaches. It's made me semi-emotional because I've just been feeling like crap. And it's been super hard on me. Today was supposed to be getting fresh air and trying to feel better. Not that it's any excuse for me reacting the way I did. I just wanted to explain why I was semi-emotional already. Edit number 2. He wants to post it. And honestly, I don't have the energy to argue. So if you see it on TikTok, don't like it, please. Not a-hole. You didn't laugh. It wasn't a joke. It was a joke is what a-holes say when they called out for their a-holery. Yeah, you always say something completely awful is a joke. But I'm never laughing. That's kind of a red flag that you guys are incompatible. It's okay. Some people enjoy stupid physical pranks and they are welcome to enjoy each other's company. But there's no reason you have to put up with it. Yep, if this is a pattern, it's time to say bye-bye. Perhaps do it on camera with a sick burn and put it on TikTok. See how he likes it. Not a-hole, mainly because I hate TikTok. Also, sick or not, ew, that hose is disgusting. It was so dirty. Not a-hole. It's only a joke if both people think it's funny. His response should have been, oops, sorry. I was trying to be funny and joking, but I can see it missed the mark. Really sorry. Instead, he doubled down and got defensive. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that she should stop constantly expecting appreciation and just get on with her job of being a stay-at-home mom? I, 36 male, work full-time and my wife, 32 female, is a stay-at-home mom looking after our 2-year-old twins. When we got married, we both agreed that my wife would be a stay-at-home mom, especially since we don't have any family/grandparents nearby. We were both in agreement, but my wife made it clear she wanted to enjoy seeing our kids grow up, as we don't plan on having any more. I make a good wage, so we are comfortable. I don't give my wife any spending limits. Obviously, we discuss big purchases, so she is free to buy herself things. I make sure she has access to money and she takes care of everything around the house. I work from home and a typical day for me is 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Once I finish work, I go and spend time with the twins while my wife makes dinner. We put them to bed together and my wife usually clears up in the kitchen. She's great at her job, and the house is spotless. I'm happy with this arrangement, and I thought my wife was too. Recently, she has been coming to me and saying that she feels burned out, unappreciated, and taken for granted. I asked if I could do anything to help, and she said that it would be nice if I did something now and again to show that I appreciated her. Like buying her favorite bar of chocolate when I go to the shop or something small, just a gesture of appreciation. I'll admit that I don't do this purely because I'm not in the habit, to be honest. We recently had a massive argument because my wife got completely fed up with being treated like a servant. She basically said that her working hours are 5 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week, and that she feels like I take her for granted. I told her that I understand it's a tough job, but we both get on with our respective roles. I never asked her to thank me for making money. I think it's cringeworthy. I get on with my job because I have to provide for my family, whereas she wants presents and treats for doing her job. I essentially said this to her, and now I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole. Looking after kids and house is tiring, and she does work hard and takes care of everything. But at the same time, do I need to thank her on bended knee and buy her things just for doing her job? Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. Jesus Christ. It's really too much to ask to occasionally buy your wife a bar of chocolate or say thank you. It sounds like she is working harder than you, but that isn't even the point. Appreciating her and showing her you love her is part of being a decent husband. If you're a robot who doesn't need appreciation, that doesn't mean she has to be too. You're the a-hole. I have 3-year-old twins and a new baby. I've been a mother every waking and sleeping minutes of the day for just over 3 years, not including a 9-month pregnancy with 2 babies that equaled 9 months of illness, sickness, and a broken body. Your wife is working all the time. You get to clock off at 5 and you don't even have to travel to work. Your wife not only keeps 2 small humans alive, your wife not only keeps the house in, as you say, pretty excellent condition, your wife not only cooks and keeps on top of food prep / buying, etc. Your wife not only drives everywhere to get things done, but she does this every day for 2 years without asking anything from you. Then the moment she does, the moment she opens up to you about how she feels, you dismiss her feelings and tell her you won't even help her feel a little appreciated? Well, news freaking flash. You get the feeling of appreciation, a job well done every time you make money, every time you please coworkers or clients, every day you keep your job. 2-year-olds crap and piss and eat and cry and laugh. No one stops to tell her or even gesture that your wife is a freaking superhero, like every stay-at-home parent. Buy her a chocolate bar and some flowers, then use them to knock sense into yourself. Edit to add. If you are a stay-at-home parent and you read this comment and say you don't agree because you feel appreciated by your children and infants, then that's great. Really, it is. But this woman doesn't, and she opened up to her husband about her feelings and he dismissed them. You're the a-hole. It's amazing. It's like your wife wants to be treated like a wife and partner instead of an incubator / nanny / housekeeper. Your wife is telling explicitly what she needs. She needs you to show her that she's appreciated. You are told, in a variety of ways at your job, that you are appreciated. I have no doubt. Your wife expecting that low bar to be met is reasonable. To note, nannies and housekeepers get told thank you and get bought special recognition rewards at times. Literally everyone gets thank yous. Opie gets shown and shows gratitude at work daily. He is treating his wife worse than he treats his most hated coworker. Everyone deserves recognition and appreciation. You're the a-hole. Correction, her hours are not 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Her hours are 24/7. You don't get a break from being a mom, and you seem not to realize how exhausting it actually is. As a stay-at-home mom myself, let me tell you something. A lack of appreciation is equal to a lack of intimacy. I pack my significant other's lunch. I get a thank you. He sees me doing laundry or dishes, he says thank you. Is it every single time? No, but it's enough that I know, hey, he actually does appreciate what I do for him. And guess what? When I feel appreciated and cared for, it makes me want to do more for him. Why can't you run her a hot bubble bath? Why can't you get her a snack or flowers? Why can't you do the dishes or cook every once in a while? She keeps that house spotless, so when you come home you can relax and not lift a finger. When does she get a break? Does she ever get to sleep in? Does she get even an hour alone a day? Edit. Okay, you can all stop tearing me a new a-hole now. I get it. I do get to relax at the weekends, whereas my wife usually does her normal routine and gets on top of the cleaning, etc. Just for the record, I do thank her for everything she does. I say thank you all the time, but I understand that this may not be her love language. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my side of the story? My husband, 35, and I, 32, have been married for 2 years. Well, we are very happy. When our relationship first started about 4 years ago, it resulted with a friendship ending. We had a mutual friend, Mary. She knew my husband Carl before I did. She introduced us. I knew she had a crush on Carl, but he had no romantic interest in her. I also had a crush on him, and he did and does have a romantic interest in me. I asked Mary if she would have a problem with us going out, and she said no. She actually encouraged the relationship, at first. After our first date, Carl and I found out that Mary had been going around to everyone she knew saying that we went behind her back, and that I stole her boyfriend. Our close friends knew she was lying because they knew Carl and Mary had never been in a relationship. But people who didn't know me immediately believed Mary, and in turn repeated the untrue story to all the people they knew. Now, 4 years later, I still occasionally hear the untrue story. My husband and I don't go out of our way to tell the people the story, but if we hear someone talking about the lie, we will correct them. Recently, a really good friend of ours confronted us and said we should stop telling our side of the story. When I asked him why, he said, Mary's still really hurting over this. It makes her feel even worse when people find out she's lying. It would be kinder if people didn't know. Honestly, I don't care what the kinder thing would be. I don't want Mary to hurt more, but I don't think it's fair that we should be expected to hold our tongue when people spread lies about us. Am I the a-hole? What? Not the a-hole. I get that she's hurt, but that's no excuse to run around and spread lies. Your friend's request is absolutely ridiculous. I don't even get her being hurt by this point. It has been years, and she's still acting like she was wronged in some way. The friend needs to stop cuddling her and recommend professional help, instead of scolding Opie for telling the truth. Not stay home. Mary should stop lying if she doesn't want to get hurt for being called out for lying. Mary's ruining the couple's reputation. Defend it because it's annoying how it affects your relationship with friends. But honestly, I would cut out anyone who believes Mary and start with a new group of friends, because this is too juvenile for my liking. Not stay home. If she didn't want you to correct the lie, she shouldn't have told it, or considering people are still asking, be telling it. Personally, I would be considering terminating the friendship with Mary, given she is clearly trying to undermine you and paint you as the homewrecker. Oh, the friendship was over 4 years ago. As soon as I heard the lies she was telling, I ended it. Initially, I thought we may be able to reconcile, but when I heard what she was telling people, I knew it was over. Entitled lady refuses to pick up dog poop after her dog craps in people's yards. I accepted her challenge. I live in a fairly large city with a lot of good dog owners, but every so often we get people, especially right after the pandemic, who are a-holes about picking up after their pups. I have a security cam that faces the area where people like to let their dogs piss. I'm never around at that time of day, but I can see who's letting their dogs do what in my yard at all times. One lady let her dog crap in the sidewalk area of my yard every day. Never picked it up. I posted on the neighborhood network. No response. Signs asking people to pick up the dog poop did nothing. My neighbor shouting, "Hey, pick up your dog lady," did nothing. She still let her dog crap in my yard, right in front of my wife's car, every day, like clockwork. She once told my neighbor that she didn't have time because she had to walk her dog before work. My neighbor said, "That's super rude not to pick up after your dog." She replied, "What are you going to do about it?" and walked off. My neighbor, being the kind woman she is, picked up the dog poop and threw it away for me, then told me later that day about Pooper Lady and their rude interaction. Now, we had a dog not too long ago, which is sort of an understatement. We had a 250-pound doofus Maximus who loved people, dogs, cats, kids, everyone. He was super friendly, and we left a doggy treat library up in his memory when he passed 2 years ago of old age. His passing broke me, but one thing I learned was exactly how horrible our yard was, even before a human-sized dog used it as a lavatory every day. I've spent time fixing the lawn by replacing the grass with nitrogen-absorbing plants like microclover and other xeriscape replacements that are highly resistant to dog urine, because we do intend to get another dog someday. Anyway, my old boy, when he craps in the yard, took massive dumps that would reach 5 to 6 inches in height if he stayed in one place. I had a scoop shovel and a 14-gallon bucket half filled with sawdust, like an elephant trainer, and I'd go around the yard every day to pick it all up. When we went for walks, even when he was a wee 90-pound puppy at 4 months old, I took grocery bags with plenty of poop bags because he would poop multiple times. I preferred not to have our neighbors think a homeless person had shat on their lawn after we went by. When he'd passed, I put up a little free dog treat library along with free poop bags for the local pups and their parents because, well, we had a supply. He ate as much food a day as the average teenage boy and loved donuts as much as Homer Simpson. Asparagus, oranges, and the doggy bits from steak? Oh yeah. A dog treat the size of a hand was just normal-sized for him. The upshot is that what we had on hand when he passed was roughly 8 times the normal amount a dog parent would have. And I didn't want it to go to waste, so we provided it for free until it ran out. I even have a small bucket nearby labeled, "If you have dog poop bags, please drop them here." Because the raging debate of whether it's rude to drop tied-off dog poop bags in a nearby garbage can comes up on Nextdoor every year, right alongside the fireworks conversation that starts around July 2nd and continues for the next 2 weeks. The point is, there was absolutely no freaking excuse here. On top of that, I had previously met this lady and her dog while walking my old boy around the block. She is one of those people who walk their dog while glued to their phone, always on a podcast or call. Her dog is one of those long-haired fluffy dogs that looks like it's been run into a wall multiple times head first. It's also an a-hole, aggressive toward other dogs, even ones 20 times its size. Every time we crossed paths, she barely registered her dog trying to bite mine until I would yell, "Curb your dog, lady," while blocking it with my body. So, poop bags available. Notices. Neighbors saying, "Knock that shit off." Pooper Lady Karen doing Pooper Lady Karen things with Muffin Paws the a-hole shitzer. Fine, we can play that game. I started my research by checking my house security camera. She was always there between 8:02 and 8:03. Religiously, on the dot, every workday, every time, never on the weekends and never after 8:04 a.m. She was always dressed in very nice business casual, with expensive shoes and a purse or sling bag, but never with poop bags. I set up one of my RainPoint Wi-Fi-enabled automatic sprinkler hose bibs and connected 2 high-volume, highly visible water sprayers for that grassy area. One on each side, one facing the sidewalk from my house with some overlap to the sidewalk strip set to a 180-degree semicircle, and one in the sidewalk strip facing the house, set to the same dispersal pattern. The nice thing about RainPoint is that it's hooked into your house Wi-Fi, and you can control it anywhere, anytime, just by pressing a button widget on your phone. You can also set up automatic watering timers and hook it into weather and soil moisture IFTDT systems. But the fact that you can set it off remotely is more important here. I set the timer to go off at 8:03 exactly and spray for 10 minutes on full blast. And by full blast, I mean I made sure to close off all other hoses and not start the dishwasher or laundry before I left for the day at 7 a.m., so the full experience of 15 gallons per minute water pressure could be enjoyed by all. The next morning, I turned on my remote viewing of my security camera at work. Here she comes, dressed more nicely than usual in her business casual, walking her aggro a-hole dust mop of a dog, face in her phone, earbuds plugged in, volume up. The dust mop angles his way toward the same spot she always lets him poop, starts to squat, and then dual sprays of ice-cold water catch her dog in the face and her at the waist. Full blast. The one from the house started first. The one in the sidewalk strip started 10 seconds later. She stood there screaming on the security cam for 30 seconds, then stormed across the grass to pick up her dog, who, at this point, had been turned from a fluffy ball of perfectly groomed dog into a filthy wet mop with extra dirt and powdered steer manure compost. And as she turned to storm away with her dog, she slipped on the fresh dog shit that her dog had just dropped, which was now getting sprayed with water at 15 gallons per minute. She landed on fresh microclover that had been lovingly fertilized with composted steer manure from our family farm the day before, so she didn't get injured. But when she got up, her very expensive business casual outfit was caked with dog poop, fresh green stains, and steer manure. Karen exits stage left, screaming. I started laughing so hard my boss had to come out to ask what was the matter. I kept a Nextdoor tab up in my browser all day set to check for new posts from my specific neighborhood with keywords. I was not disappointed. About an hour later, I saw a Nextdoor post talking about how horrible people start their watering during the time people are walking their dogs. Yep, it's her. Someone replied to her thread saying, maybe just walk a different way or go a little later. Ugh, you don't understand. My dog is soaking wet and it ruined his grooming session for the week. Now I have to get him in and get him cleaned up after work. Well, thank you for the heads up, pooper lady. The next morning, I tuned into my security cam at work and had the smart timer widget up. I tested it the day before remotely and made sure the lag time was minimal on both the camera and the sprinklers. Sure enough, here come the pooper and his mistress, right on time. She's dressed in full business wear, heels and a full suit today, which, might be a bad choice. To her credit, she is a bit leery of the yard, but she is checking her watch and watching the sprinkler. The dog starts to squat right at 8:26 a.m. I hit the button. My security camera is about 30 feet away, behind triple pane glass windows inside a house we re-insulated this past spring. It has a crap microphone that barely picks up anything. I could hear her scream of rage, like a pair of wild foxes in heat running 2 feet from my head. Her dog was turned from fluff ball to wet mop once more. But this time he was still mid-poop, so when she grabbed him physically, I could see her trying desperately to avoid the aerial poop torpedoes popping from his butt and flying into the air all over the sidewalk and the walkway to the street. Her phone clattered to the ground. She broke a heel stumbling, and one final doggy turd flew up into the air, executed a perfect 360 double pike, and landed on her blouse. The next day was a Thursday. I popped my browser tab open and lay in wait. I watched as pooper lady came down the street, absorbed in her phone, dragging her mop of a dog along behind her. When they got to my house, the dog stopped and would not go any further. I saw her turn and tug at his leash. He refused. She stopped. She looked at the area of the yard where my sprinklers were set up. She looked at him. She pulled at his leash again, and they began walking toward the same area once more. And just before they got to the outside edge of my property, I turned on the sprinklers. The 3 seconds of lag meant that by the time they were halfway to the spot, they were about 5 feet inside the spray zone. And the dog just noped the heck out of there, quick enough that she was startled and dropped the leash. He ran back the way they came, and she did the running in heels thing out of frame after him. That Friday morning, no pooper lady. The next Monday around 10 a.m., I saw pooper lady's dog, but he was being walked by a young woman wearing the t-shirt of a local dog walking service. She stopped by my doggy supply library. She smiled. She reached down to pick up the poop. She tucked it in a bag, tied it off, and walked on with the dog, who looked much happier overall. After about 3 months, I no longer saw either pooper lady or her dust mop of a dog anywhere in the neighborhood. I guess she moved somewhere that she and her aggro a-hole dog can live in peace and crap wherever they like. Still have the sprinkler set up, but now I tend to set it to run when nobody is around, like at 4 a.m., and only when the grass really needs it. Now for the top comments. I admire your dedication and thorough takedown of such a horrible dog owner. I also have a neighbor that lets his dog crap in my yard, and I happen to have the same rain point device OP describes. Thanks, dude. I felt this the whole time I was reading. I live in a small 6-unit apartment building, and one neighbor also refuses to clean up their dog's poop. The dog always goes on the section of lawn right next to my truck, so I've averaged about 1 stepping in dog poop experience per month. As a result, I've just started cleaning up the poop, even though it's not my dog, and I don't even own a dog. Last summer, I overheard the dog's owner talking to his girlfriend, and they were laughing about the fact that someone cleans up the dog poop so they don't ever have to. That was the last straw for me. I continued cleaning up the crap, but instead of throwing it away, I'd dump it in piles right outside their front door. Every couple of days, I'd hear a shriek coming from downstairs, and I'd know my poop mine found another target. Petty? Yep. Effective? Double yep. My favorite moment was coming home from work one night and seeing them both in the yard, spraying their shoes off with a garden hose. I made eye contact with them, and while passing said, "Kind of sucks when the dog craps right where you walk every day, doesn't it?" They just glared at me. After a few weeks of this, the guy finally had enough and started cleaning up his dog's poop. Sometimes you have to fight shit with shit. I had only one instance of someone not disposing of their dog's poop at the last apartment complex I lived at. Caught the lady on ring, throwing her dog's poop in my trash can. A few days later, I saw the lady making her way toward my apartment with her dog. She did that shifty look around to see if no one saw her. Then she looked up and saw me staring at her from my living room window and promptly pulled her dog to keep moving. When it happened where I used to live, neighbor would just let the dog out, it would poop on my front lawn, then take himself back home. Alsatian, so big poop. I just used to scoop it up, knock on the neighbor's door until they got out of bed and answered. With the sweetest smile, I told them that I had something that belonged to them, and emptied the scoop on their doorstep. Happily proclaimed cheerio and went back home. Resolved a lot quicker and with less effort, although I would love to see the video footage. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my brother move back in with me after he trashed my apartment last time? My brother, 27 male, and I, 29 female, have always had a complicated relationship. Growing up, he was the kind of person who could be a lot of fun in small doses. Always cracking jokes, always the life of the party, but he was also irresponsible and had a tendency to take advantage of people's kindness. That pattern hasn't really changed much as we've gotten older. 2 years ago, after breaking up with his girlfriend, he asked if he could crash at my apartment just for a few weeks while he got back on his feet. I figured it wasn't a big deal. I had a spare couch, and I thought helping him out for a little while was what any sibling would do. What I didn't expect was that those few weeks would turn into 6 long months of constant frustration. He treated my apartment less like a place to stay temporarily and more like his personal crash pad. He never cleaned up after himself. There were always beer cans, pizza boxes, and fast food containers scattered around the living room. If I asked him to help out with chores, he'd roll his eyes and claim he was too tired or too busy with work, even though he was barely working part-time. He also started inviting friends over without asking me first, and more than once, I came home to find people I didn't even know sitting in my living room. The worst incident was when I came home one night to discover he had thrown a full-blown party in my apartment. Loud music, people drinking, trash everywhere. It looked like a scene out of a college frat house, except I never agreed to it. I was furious, but he brushed it off as no big deal. The final straw came when I discovered he had been smoking inside, despite knowing that my lease strictly prohibited it. On top of that, he spilled something on my couch that left a permanent stain. When I confronted him and told him he needed to move out, he acted like I was the unreasonable one. He called me uptight and accused me of overreacting, as if ignoring the lease rules and damaging my furniture was normal behavior. Eventually, he did move out, but it left a really bitter taste in my mouth. I felt like I had been used and disrespected in my own home, and I promised myself I would not let him take advantage of me again. Fast forward to last month. He reached out again, saying that he needed a place to stay because his new lease had fallen through, and he didn't have anywhere else to go. The moment I saw that message, my stomach sank. I knew exactly what he was going to ask. Sure enough, he begged me to let him crash at my place, just for a little while. This time, I didn't hesitate. I told him no. He did not take that answer well. He blew up at me, calling me heartless and cold. He threw the whole "family is supposed to help" family line at me, trying to guilt-trip me into saying yes. When I still refused, he involved our parents, who told me that I should let him stay until he gets back on his feet. But I stood firm. I reminded my parents and my brother of what happened last time and told them I wasn't going to let history repeat itself. If anyone thought he deserved another chance, they were more than welcome to open their homes to him. Unsurprisingly, no one volunteered. Some family agree with me, saying I'm setting healthy boundaries after being burned once already. Others insist that I'm cruel for abandoning him when he's in need. Personally, I don't see it as abandonment. I see it as refusing to let someone disrespect me in my own home again. At the end of the day, I love my brother, but love doesn't mean letting him walk all over me. Don't take him back. Duh. Yep, lesson learned. What's annoying is my parents and relatives who think I'm cruel just won't drop it, even though none of them are offering to let him stay at their place. It just shows that they learned from your mistake. Pretty ballsy for them to criticize. Not the a-hole. Good on you for not signing up for round 2. The part that really grates me is my parents and relatives calling me cruel, and not a single one of them has even thought of taking him in themselves. First thing out of your mouth next time. Okay, Aunt so-and-so, give me your address and I will send him over to move in. See how quick they shut up. Do it every time. Nope. You know where it leads. Unless someone is going to pay for a maid and security deposit, hard no. Exactly. Last time I basically felt like I was paying rent for both of us, while also cleaning up after him. Definitely not going through something like that again.